everybody, and welcome to Bits of Board, where we're talking board games, miniatures, cards, and dice. My name's Michael, and today we're going to be jumping straight back into our Kingdom Death Monster campaign, picking up where we left off in Lantern Year 1. We're going to be moving through the hunt phase and hopefully into a showdown against a level 1 White Lion. Now, in the prologue episode, I had a couple of rules goofs, but that has led to the apt naming of one of our survivors. The big bearded survivor will forever be known as Lucky, because he is very lucky he didn't cop that 3 damage wounds to the chest. He would be gone, maybe. I don't know. Depends what the roll. Point is, though, he's with us today. Joining the ranks of our named survivors, we have Eva, we have Bastion, and we have Ripper. Shout out to Andrew for providing the inspiration to get these guys named. Anyway, enough of naming, let's get into the campaign, starting with that hunt phase. Alright, here we go with the hunt phase. We have our departing survivors here and our quarry up here. Now this is a level 1 White Lion, so he's not too far away from our survivors' starting location. However, a level 2 Lion and a level 3 Lion, well, they would be a heck of a long way past that mark there. So here we go. We start this off by moving our survivors into the next location on the track, and then we resolve the card. So here we have the scratching grounds. Claw marks scar the ground. The survivors may choose to investigate. Each survivor that investigates gain +1 courage and rolls on the table. Let's start off with old Bast down here. We'll roll for him. He's going to choose to go for it. Let's see how we go. It's a 6. Nothing happens. That's a shame. We go to the Ripper. And a 3. Oh, sifting through the rubble. A shifting stone crushes the survivor's hands. The survivor suffers 1 event damage to the arm's location. I'll mark that down on the sheet. And we move to Eva. She's still going to go for it despite a little bit of bad luck there. We get a 9. A prize in the rubble underfoot. Gain 1 Lion Claw White Lion resource. Very nice. And last but not least, the newbie rolls, hoping for another White Lion Claw. An 8. Nothing happens. That's a shame. But all the survivors do gain 1 courage. Having resolved that card, we move to the next location. Another White Lion event. A crudely arranged effigy stands before the survivors, decorated with small metal trinkets, human fingers, and stuffed with dried tall grass. Their quarry's sculpture confounds the survivors. The survivors gaze at the arrangement, attempting to glean the substance of the White Lion's bizarre inhuman intelligence. Each survivor gains 1 understanding and 1 insanity. Very nice. We mark that down much the same. And that insanity is going to come in handy because that insanity is essentially going to act as a point of armor for the brain. And if we get too insane, well, it means we can use some pretty cool weapons. Eva, our redhead survivor there, she's bumped up to 2 insanity, meaning she's just 1 point away from becoming properly insane. We move to the next event, and this time we're going to be resolving a random event. Meaning we're going to be rolling the white die and the black die to pick a random hunt event from the booklet. Here we go. 51, let's go. Refugees. The survivors encounter a group of fleeing settlers. If the survivors have innovated Symposium, they may offer the refugees a piece of gear or a resource. If they do, archive the offering. If the survivors gave the refugees an offering, they will stop to tell their mournful tale about the monster that besieged them. Now prepared for what lies ahead, at the start of the showdown, reveal the first 5 AI cards from the Quarry's AI deck and put them back in any order. Wow. This is going to be extremely useful, and lucky for us, we have innovated Symposium. Let's grab that newly gained Lion Claw resource and hand it over to the fleeing settlers. This is going to give us a massive leg up for the showdown phase, which is about to begin. Our survivors move into the same space as the white lion, and the showdown begins.
There was once a beast that wanted to feel how soft its fur was. Since it could not reach its own back, it killed many other creatures and spent its time rubbing its paws over them. They say that when the monster finally killed a human, it fell in love with their soft hair, and its paws grew into a pair of fine human hands.
Now, as a part of setting up for this showdown phase, we've actually created a unique level 1 white lion deck, meaning we've created his AI deck out of 7 of the available B cards and 3 of the available A cards, which means that our encounter with the white lion today is going to be unlike any other we've seen around. Now, as you can see, in comparison to his prologue self, he has 2 more toughness, meaning we are going to have to roll a base value of 8 to actually damage this guy. That, coupled with 10 hit points and an 11th needed to knock him out, we are in for a challenging encounter. Setup dictates that we get to put out 2 tall grass tiles, and these have a unique activation. Basically, any survivor that uses an action while standing in the tall grass can lose their priority token and become not a threat to the monster. In addition to this, any survivors in spaces occupied by tall grass gain +2 evasion. This is going to come in so handy. Now, there are some setup restrictions here. The only restriction is we must set up at least 4 spaces away from all tall grass, meaning we couldn't just clump them all together. Let's put our tall grass to the left and to the right of our survivors, just giving us some options in case he turns to run. Next, we draw 2 random terrain cards to increase the variety, and I happen to draw 2 debris cards. These can be set up adjacent to any board edge, probably going to put them directly behind our survivors here. But if we make an action while standing on the debris, we can roll on the table below and hopefully score some rare gear. Let's put 1 debris here and 1 over here. Put it there just for variety's sake. And with that, we begin the showdown. Thanks to our random hunt encounter, we can draw and reorder the top 5 AI cards in the lion's deck. Now, he's going to be going first, so we want to make sure we pick a good order of actions here so we don't all get crushed in the first round. Here's the order that I'm choosing to go with. I hope it goes well for us. Let's begin. We draw the top card of the AI deck, Lick Wounds. If the monster has no wounds in the wound stack, discard Lick Wounds and draw an AI card. All right, no wounds here, so we discard and draw. Getting that one out of the way, we bring up Smart Cat. Reveal the top 10 AI cards one at a time, put the first 2 mood cards revealed into play, then shuffle the deck. I know there's going to be at least 1 mood card, so let's get that into play. We have Bloodthirsty, in that goes. Next, we reveal one at a time. Claw. Vicious Claw. Combo Claw. Oof. Grasp, Power Swat, Size Up, and Bat Around. Well, the good news is we didn't get any more moods, so we can now archive Smart Cat, and we shuffle the deck. Now, I have no idea what's going to come of it. But at least we've knocked out 2 cards from the AI deck, meaning 2 less wounds we'll need to inflict. Our survivors now get a chance to action off. Now we know that the white lion has 6 movements, so if we can get out of range of his first attack, we might be able to survive a little bit longer through this section. So we will begin with Eva, and we're going to move her out of the way and beside the rubble. She's going to spend her activation sifting through, hoping to find some gear. We roll a dice, scoring a 3. We find nothing, but the good news is we don't have to archive the card. We'll move our next survivor on top of it, spending another action to search. We get an 8. Finding useful gear. Gain 1 Bone Blade gear card and archive this terrain. That's great. Now we have 2 properly kitted out survivors on the field. Alright. Let's move with our newbie, and they too will search. Whoa. A Lantern 10. Gain 1 Scrap Sword gear card and archive the terrain. That is the best possible thing we could have hoped for here. Now this is a wonderful piece of gear. It has a special ability. On a perfect hit, the edge sharpens, gain +4 strength for the rest of the attack. It also gains deadly if we can pull off those affinities down there. It's got 2 speed, will hit on a 5+, and already has 3 strength. This is insane. It's a shame because our newbie already has all the equipment that we crafted, so that bone blade's going to go for a bit of waste for a bit, but we'll just, we might have to run with that, guys. That's awesome. Our Rippy here is going to move over to the far side of the long grass and use her activation to become a non-threat to the monster, which means she won't be the target of the next attack, hopefully. All our survivors activated, we move to the next card in the AI deck. We have Size Up. Pick target, a random threat in field of view. Well, everything facing forward here is in the field of view. Now we actually only have 1 target that is in field of view. Everyone else is obscured by the tall grass. So we roll the dice for this size up. Basically, on a 4+, the target suffers 1 brain damage and becomes knocked down. Hoping for the best here. A 3! We jag it! Fantastic! Alright, so nothing happens, but that means we're still not in any good position to actually do any damage to the lion here. We'll move Eva into the corner of the grass and use the activation to prevent her becoming a threat. Ripper's fine where she is, and we have our newbie here, and he has an ability to use. Because we have the blue affinity for the rawhide headband, we can use an activation to reveal the top 2 AI cards and place them back on top in any order. Alright, so let's have a look at the top 2 cards of the deck. We have Power Swat and Grasp. Now the lion can only move 6 spaces, which means he's going to be out of range of any attack. So we should try and get the most powerful of these 2 cards removed from this round of the AI deck. We'll be wounding him this round. That's a tough call. Well, let's just hope we get 2 wounds on him and knock both of these out of any possibility. Let's go for it. We draw the top card of the AI deck and we get Grasp. And the closest survivor in range will get targeted, which is Bast down here. We full move 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just out of range for any further attack part of this. So that's fantastic. We discard the card and we move to the survivor's next activation. Let's zoom in and see what's going on down there. Alright, here we go with the survivor's activation. We'll start off with our newbie and we're going to move him right in behind the lion there. He has the highest chance of wounding out of any of the other survivors because of that almighty scrap sword. So we're going to roll with that. Speed of 2, and we'll be hitting on a 4+ because we're sitting in that blind spot. Let's hope for the best. A 10 for a hit and a 9. That is fantastic. That is 2 hits. We draw the top card and we have the beast's chest and the beast's tail. Now both of these have reactions. In fact, we have a failure reaction and a reflex reaction. The failure one will only go off if we fail to wound, but the reflex action will go off either way. Now, considering the reflex action will move the white lion out of the way of any other hits, we're going to resolve the beast's chest location first. With a strength of 3, we're going to be wounding on a 5+. Let's roll. Oh, 5, and we just make it in. We discard the hit location and the top card of the AI deck. Next, we move to the beast's tail. We score a 5 and another hit. So we discard the hit location and the top AI card, but the reflex goes off. Full move the monster forward in a straight line. Cancel all hits now out of range. Any survivors passed over suffer grab. Thankfully, there's no one standing in front of him, and the lion can only move 1 space forward. We've got him cornered. We'll move the Ripper right in behind the lion, jumping into that blind spot again. Now, she only has the Founding Stone, so she's going to be looking for a 6+ to wound here. 2 speeds, 6+, let's go. 2 hits, fantastic. We draw 2 cards from the hit deck, the Beast's Elbow and the Beast's Maw. We have 2 failures, one being a full move, which isn't actually going to go off, a Triumphant Roar. Don't like the sound of that, so let's resolve the Beast's Elbow first. We've got 1 strength on the Founding Stone, which means we're going to be aiming for a 7+. A 9. Nailing it. If only it had been a fist and tooth action, we would have scored that critical hit. So the failure goes off, but the lion can't move. So we discard the hit location and the top card from the AI deck, moving on to the Beast's Maw. Aiming for that 7+. A 7, oh, we jag it. So the failure doesn't go off, and we discard another card from the AI deck. This could be all over soon, wow. Alright, Bast here has the next best chance of wounding because he picked up that bone blade. Moves in to the blind spot and will be hitting on a 5+. We have a 5 and an 8, 2 hits, so 2 hit locations. The Beast's Paw and the Beast's Scapular Deltoid. Once again, we have a full move one that the lion will not be able to execute, so we'll be wounding that first. With a strength of 2 on the bone blade, we'll be aiming for a 6+ here. A 1. Shocking. So the failure goes off, but the lion can't move. We move on to the Beast's Paw. A 7. Enough to make the hit and put off that failure. We discard the top card from the AI deck, and we have no cards left, meaning we have to shuffle the remaining 2 AI cards. Eva moves in beside the lion, hoping for the best. Attacking with the Founding Stone. 2 dice, 7+. Move that one out of the way. A 5 and a 1. Terribly done, but that's alright. The white lion has his activation. Heavily wounded, he has very little options and goes the Grasp. We pick the closest knockdown survivor in range. No one's knocked down, so we go the closest survivor in range. And we have 3 options. Considering the white lion would have to do a full turn to get to these guys back here, we're going to assume that he turns to face Eva. This is going to hit on a 2+, so let's roll. A 4, we have a hit. So we roll for 1 damage on the body. We mark that down, and then we'll place one of these blood drop tokens on the bloodthirsty mood because we've caused some damage. 2 more of these, and he's going to get a free attack, but I don't think he's going to get that far. After the damage has taken place, the white lion grabs Eva, turns the opposite direction, and full moves away. Right out of there, and Eva is knocked down in front of him. With the lion so far out of the way, our survivors do not have that many options to attack. We have 1 survivor in range, and 2 survivors with the weapons that are out of range. To give us every opportunity to take out the lion here, we're going to need to use some of our survival. Having innovated language on our return from the last encounter, we have the option to encourage other survivors, which means we can use one survival to have them stand up. Sebastian, our newbie, calls out to Eva, who is knocked down by the lion. She stands. Our 2 armed survivors move into the tall grass, hoping to ambush the lion on the next turn, but for the moment it's all up to the girls. Ripper moves 5 spaces, landing in the white lion's blind spot, and attacks with the founding stone. 2 speed and a 6+. No hits. Eva, having recovered from her knockdown, moves around the lion and attempts a hit. 2 speed on a 7+. We get 1 hit. Drawing the hit location, we get the beast's knee, which thankfully doesn't have a failure because I don't like our odds here. With 1 strength on the founding stone, we're going to be aiming for a 7+ here. Let's go. A 3. Just not good enough. Alright, so we move to the white lion's next activation. Lick wounds. Oh. Okay. Full move the white lion directly away from all survivors. Turn to face the closest survivor and heal. Turns to face, and we take the top card from the wound stack and add it to the bottom of the AI deck. We then place Lick Wounds back on top of the AI deck, meaning he's going to continue to heal unless we can wound him here. The lion's so far away and guarding his blind spot from any attack. Do the survivors even have a chance? Eva moves up beside the lion and attacks with the founding stone. A 7 and an 8. 2 hits. Oh. We have the beast's tricep and the beast's femur. We'll attempt on the beast's femur first, as it's without the failure. Aiming for a 7+. We get an 8, removing the Lick Wounds AI card, placing it in the wound stack. Next, we attempt the beast's tricep. And a 9. We nail this. So close to a critical wound. Maybe our survivors do have a chance. We move the Ripper straight in front of the lion and attack with the founding stone. A 2 and an 8. We have a wound there, or at least a hit. Drawing the beast's back. If this fails, it may be a blessing in disguise because it will move the lion into range of our 2 survivors waiting patiently in the tall grass. Let's actually hope we don't make this attack. A 1, the best possible result here. Full move the monster forward in a straight line. Cancel all hits now out of range. Any survivors passed over suffer grab. 4, 5, 6. Now grab. Oh, wait. Actually, sorry, this will go to another survivor as well. In resolving grab, we also need to roll for a wound on the survivor, which I forgot to do for Eva over there. So let's do Ripper first and see where she gets her damage. Straight to the head. Oh, we fill in the heavy injury and she is knocked down. Well, she's already knocked down, but she's not getting up anytime soon. Let's just see where Eva got hers. Ah, the foot. Alright, so she'll suffer 1 foot damage. Excellent. All right, I think we're all up to scratch here. That means we have 3 damage markers on the bloodthirsty mood. On the monster's next activation, he's going to get a free basic attack on top of his grasp, unless our survivors can do something about it right now. Ever so patiently, our waiting survivors have a chance to end this. The newbie moves right around the lion into the blind spot and attacks with that scrap sword. Hitting on a 4+, we go for it. An 8 and a 4, 2 hits. The soft belly and the beast's heel. We roll for the soft belly first, aiming for a 5+. An 8. We get the wound and we remove the grasp AI card from the discard pile. All that's left is the white lion's basic attack, and we have this done. We roll for the beast's heel. A 7. We absolutely jag it, and the white lion is down. Such a successful hunt for our new survivors. Let's see what they get. In the aftermath of the showdown, each survivor gains a hunt XP, meaning some of ours will actually hit their first age story landmark. Now, the first time you defeat the white lion, you gain access to the Caterium settlement location, which unlocks some really cool gear, including that cat eye circlet, which will be one of the first things we build once we get back. On top of that, we gain our 4 white lion resources, starting with the golden whiskers, some white fur, cat bone or great cat bones, and some sinew. On top of those, we'll get something questionable: monster bones, monster hide, and another set of monster bones. We'll be taking that back with us to the settlement. Now, on completing a showdown phase and returning home, the survivors draw a card from the settlement event deck. Today, we get Acid Storm. The air tastes sour and burns the survivors' cracked lips. The sky cracks in great flashes, revealing spiraling black clouds. Finally, it opens, dousing everything in rain. We roll 1d10. A 6, all right. Some of the debris around the settlement becomes useful due to the strange effects of the storm. Add 1 scrap to the settlement storage. Awesome. Let's see what else. There are some lingering effects that occur for the rest of this lantern year. So we're actually in lantern year 2 now, guys. How exciting is this? The storm prevents music endeavors. So if we innovate, no music endeavors. The storm inspires +2 to the results of all art endeavors. All right. If we manage to have nightmare training, we could do some acid storm exercise, but we don't have nightmare training. I don't think we can get that yet. If we had cooking, we could get acid storm distillation. Well, none of those at the moment, but we'll see how we go if we choose to innovate. All right, so the upgrade pack, it gives us this lovely little condensed version of the settlement phase board, which we're going to use for camera purposes, because that is awesome. So we set up and our survivors return, which means that any returning survivors, we get to erase their light, heavy wounds and any sort of event damage that they receive throughout the round. Basically, our survivors will live to fight another day. For every returning survivor, we gain 1 endeavor to spend. So we have 4 endeavors again this round. Next up, we update the settlement timeline and we fire off any story events that occur now. Endless screams.
A scream pierces the silence around the settlement. As the noise fades, a chorus of horror rises up in answer. The settlement erupts into chaos, trying to comprehend the source of the terrible wail. But the survivor stands firm in the face of the screaming unknown. Slow and strong words change the settlement's fear into tingling excitement. After all, the endless screams might be an opportunity to gain knowledge and harness the darkness.
Next, we update the death count, having still not lost a survivor. We move on to the check milestones. And for us, we're going to be resolving 3 age story events because Eva, the Ripper, and Bastion have all reached their first Hunt XP milestone.
Their time in the darkness changes them.
For each survivor, we roll 2d10 and consult the chart. Let's start with Eva. A 9. Eva gains 1 random fighting art. So we grab a card from the fighting arts and we gain her Monster Claw style. Your fist and tooth attacks gain +1 accuracy, +1 strength, and savage. This is great if we want to go for that, a little bit of extra luck in combat. So let's just roll with that. I'm pretty sure we did well with fist and tooth in that opening tutorial fight, the prologue. So let's go with it. Eva now has +1 accuracy, +1 strength when using fist and tooth, and gains savage. Which basically means if she causes a critical wound, she takes off a 2nd wound for that. Brilliant. Next, we roll for Bastion. A 4. Bastion gains +1 strength, which is awesome. That means that any attack with any weapon, that strength will be counted. Eight. Gain 1 random fighting art as well. Ripper gains the Strategist. During the Showdown setup, after placing terrain, you may add a giant stone face or a toppled pillar terrain card to the Showdown board. Now, these are super handy because they allow you to change the battlefield to, maybe promote some of your character's strength. For example, the giant stone face is wonderful for characters that use bows because they get an additional range and an additional accuracy. For the moment though, that is all of our milestones for this round. Alright, next we move to the development stage, which is where we get to use all of our gained resources, so all these guys here, as well as all the resources that we have saved from previous rounds to help, build new settlement locations or create new gear for our characters. Last round, we invested in some rawhide armors, which will help protect our survivors. This time though, I don't think we're going to have enough gear to complete the set, but we'll see how we go. Alright, just a quick intermission here. Due to some microphone issues, I didn't actually record my voice explaining what we actually got when we cashed in our resources, so I'm going to have to do it front on here if that's alright. First things first, we cashed in the cat eye that we scored in the prologue chapter, and we got the cat eye circlet. This thing is amazing because it means we can reorder the top few cards of the hit location deck, meaning that when we are drawing hits, we are hitting true and we're hitting the locations that we want. This thing is boss. We also paid the shimmering main resource that we got so we could get the lion headdress. And while this may not pay off immediately, later on this is going to allow us to get an extra armor point on a head location, even if we're already wearing head armor. We're gonna, divvy it out a little bit for the moment, but later on this thing is gonna come in so much handy. We got another really useful support item, the Whisker Harp. Now this guy, while not always super useful, comes in handy for some very specific instances where a mood comes out and we just don't want to deal with that. Using an action on this one, we get a 50-50 chance of discarding a mood in play, which could be the difference between life and death for our survivors. We also put together a catgut bow that we're going to hand right over to our new strategist in the party, because they are going to be able to drop down the great stone face, jump on that, and then just smack away with that bow. This is going to be so useful, especially for encounters where the monster is going to be on the move. Honestly, I couldn't imagine running a scenario without it. Finally, to top it all off, we cashed in 2 pieces of hide and our questionable resource to get the remainder of our raw hide armor set. Someone is going to be wandering through that battlefield just armored up to the hilt, extra survival, and even the chance that using a survival doesn't even use it. I cannot wait to show this thing off. I know it's going to come in handy real soon. Now, because we spent all of our resources on armors and bits and pieces to play around with, we did not have enough to innovate. So we had to figure out another way to spend our endeavors, and that's where the new stone noses came in. Ah, yeah. These things grant extra survival when you rock up at a showdown, and they also give you that little bit more insanity because, well, you are carrying around stone noses. That's a little bit crazy, right? So after all that, we have 1 bone, 1 scrap, and the love juice. Aw, yeah. Alright, so we are going to use our love juice this round. Now this is for a number of reasons. First off, it's an instant intimacy event, which means we are going to potentially get some solid new life for our settlement. If we didn't have the love juice, we'd have to roll on the augury table, and then there's a fairly decent chance of failure for that one, so it's nice to be able to pull it off every once in a while. Now, the reason we're going to do this is because we are actually going to hit 2 milestones if we're successful here. The first will be the creation of new life, and we'll have to choose a principle for our settlement, and that is a way that we raise our children, whether it's nurtured with love or we point them straight into the direction of combat, a la the Spartans kind of thing. Now, on top of the new life principle, we're actually going to be hitting another milestone, and that is a population of 15, which means we get to choose the way our society develops. We got some pretty interesting decisions ahead, so let's go ahead and roll on that intimacy table. Alright, here we go with the intimacy table. Now, it's not all great news. In fact, if we fail the intimacy roll, rolling a 1, we actually lose both of the parent survivors, which is not good. So first thing we've got to do is nominate 2 consenting survivors, 1 female and 1 male. We're going to play it safe here and pick 2 unnamed survivors, just in case things don't go too well. But we'll get a little bit more adventurous later on. Alright, having selected our 2 survivors, we roll. Alright, we get an 8. The settlement gains +1 population. The male and female survivors share a deep bond and gain 10 survival each. Excellent, alright. So when we kick those characters into battle, they are going to be ready to go. Wonderful. Alright, so we've got a healthy new addition to the settlement. Let's have a look at those new life principles. Alright, there are 2 options for the principle of new life. We can choose to raise them without mercy or with affection. Now, both paths, they have their bonuses, they have their blessings and curses, but I think we have to go with the Spartan route, right? We're going to raise our young without mercy.
New life. Toys are taken from the child and replaced with a cold stone-faced shard. Training begins immediately.
A great result. The settlement celebrates with a rowdy party filled with tests of strength and triumphant roaring. The parents each gain +1 permanent strength and 2 insanity. They must skip the next hunt to recover. You know what? That's fine. They weren't going hunting anyway, but now they've got a bonus strength. These guys are so ready to go. All right. Now that we've got our principle of new life, let's move in to the principle of society, because now we are at a population of 15. Again, we must make a decision. Do we go for the path of collective toil, or do we accept the darkness? Tough call, tough call. I think we've got to embrace the darkness, guys. We're already rearing our children without mercy. Let's go. Accept the darkness.
There was once a mad woman who spent her days talking to the darkness. One day, it spoke back. The darkness spoke startling truths. It told the people they were monsters just like the ones they hunted. The people accepted their monstrosity and their place stalking in the darkness.
Alright, as a result, we must nominate a female survivor. We can. The survivor is heralded as the settlement's leader. Gain the quixotic disorder. It cannot be removed for any reason. In addition, gain the leader and orator of death fighting arts. Awesome. Alright, well, hopefully awesome. Let's check what that is. Alright, so much to take in here. First off, we've got the quixotic disorder. You carry the weight of your settlement on your shoulders. Everyone is counting on you to save them, and you will rise to the challenge. If you're insane when you depart, gain +1 survival and +1 strength token. Alright, that's awesome. We gain 2 fighting arts, orator of death, which I believe one of our guys has already got. Fantastic. Once per showdown, you may spend 1 action to have all non-deaf survivors gain +2 insanity, and when you die, you encourage all the survivors with your last words. And then leader, whenever you encourage a survivor, they gain +1 speed token until the end of the round. Insane. I mean, obviously we've got to give this one to Eva. She's already insane, so she's already super powerful, gaining that +1 strength. Excellent. All right, what a great hunt that was, right? We absolutely we didn't absolutely smash the lion, but I think it was a good fight. There was a lot more movement, as you saw, and there were a lot more interesting decisions to make, because we just, up to a point, we didn't really know what the white lion was capable of. And I think we're in a really good position after our first hunt. Decisions, though. This hunt, what are we going to do? We could go ahead and hunt the white lion again. I don't know if you want to see that again. It'll be probably a pretty quick and easy battle. We could jump to a white lion too, but I would not recommend that because we are nowhere near kitted out to handle that thing. We could hunt the screaming antelope, but I'm pretty sure we'd be able to take him down. If we decide to go for the white lion, we'll keep the bone, all right? We'll keep the bone, we'll save it so we can, splurge out on something else later. If we go the antelope, I think we're going to need to cash that in to get some bone darts. Now, bone darts are going to give us a little bit more ranged capability, a bit more survivability for someone without some armor. What do you reckon, guys? Hit me up in the comments below. Do you want to see another white lion fight so we can, build up a little bit more hide armor, get our guys ready and comfortable? Or do you want to challenge and do you want to go fight that screaming antelope? It's up to you. Other than that, though, we are done. So thank you very much for watching. I'll keep churning these out as quick as I can. This is tough work, I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, as always, my name is Michael. This is Bits of Board. We'll catch you next time.